What's up, New York Giants fans? Welcome back to another New York Giants video. Welcome back to the Big Blue in the Bronx YouTube channel overall. Hope you guys are doing well. The draft just finished, and it's going to be a dead time in the NFL for a little bit. And then soon, before you know it, the season will be back. In this video, I'm going to talk about the New York Giants' recent draft, their draft class, and the draft trades. So this is going to be a long video, so let's get into it right away. The Giants were given a situation where their pick was taken from them by an NFC East rival. And I'm not talking the Dallas Cowboys, I'm talking the Eagles. The Eagles and the Cowboys conspired a plan to trade up and trade down, and the Eagles selected Devonta Smith with 10th overall. Now, was I angry? Of course I was. I'm not going to sit here and say I wasn't angry. But with that being said, you can't be married to a player, and you have to move on. You can't be sticking to one player. You can't be blaming the Giants for not trading up one spot for a player, because that would be quite odd. That would be very stupid also, in a way. But we didn't know the Eagles and the Cowboys were conspiring. So what did the Giants do in that case? They prepared well. They had an offer on the table from the Chicago Bears, Kevin Abrams. The front office negotiated with Ryan Pace and crew, and they got what they wanted in a haul. Very good haul, by the way. The New York Giants gave up the 11th overall pick for the 20th overall pick, the 164th pick, a 2022 first-round pick, and a 2022 fourth-round pick. Very good haul by the Giants in terms of getting it. They traded up for a quarterback. There was a couple of trade offers on the table. The Giants took the Bears one. They picked Justin Fields. The New York Giants traded down to 20 and got Kadarius Toney. Now, with that being said, surprise of a pick. And I'll grade it as an A-, but I will grade the trade as an A+, because it is future first-round draft picks, future fourth-round draft pick, and the Giants are slowly building on the future. And I know they're supposed to compete this year. I'm not stupid. But just in case this season goes awry, they are prepared, whether Dave Gettleman is the general manager or whether he is not the general manager. He is setting up a good situation for whoever may be the next general manager if he gets fired or if he's forced into early retirement. So, about the Toney pick, as I said in the beginning, it was a surprise to me. I thought they would go defense, maybe Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, maybe Kwity Paye, maybe some of the other options on the table. I know a lot of Giants fans were mad. I know 5 Point Vince was mad, but at this point, as I said to a friend on stream, I'm getting the point now that he's probably just doing this for a reaction, and, you know, we'll see what happens, but that's kind of like most YouTubers. He said there was more needs, but that's not my worry. That's not my concern. Potential Sterling Shepard replacement. I think Kadarius Toney is that. He's a slot receiver that can go on the outside and also in the backfield. Very versatile, very dynamic. He is a home run hitter. Now, it's not like he had 23 touchdowns in one season. That wasn't him. That was Devonta Smith. But he had 10 touchdowns, and a lot of people said, oh, you know, Kyle Pitts is the focal point of the Florida offense. Well, let's not forget about Kadarius Toney here. Now, you could consider Trayvon Grimes and the other receivers as well. But let's talk about Toney. He had 10 total touchdowns. I think actually 11 if you consider a rushing touchdown. And if you look at the end arounds that he was put, now, there was a screen pass, I think, or it was 2 end arounds that he was breaking so many tackles, he went to the house with that. And that just shows that he never gave up. Now, obviously, it's an in-the-moment thing. He doesn't really practice it. It's just an in-the-moment thing, and you don't know if you're going to get out of a tackle. You don't know if you're going to fall to the ground. And with that being said, that's very aggressive of Kadarius Toney to do that, and the Giants need to put that to test. The Giants need to put that to their strengths and help Daniel Jones on the field in terms of weapons. He has an 80% catch percentage in college. Don't listen to ESPN when they're talking about, oh, he's got inconsistent hands. Well, in response to that, he only had a couple of drops at the Senior Bowl. Other than that, he had 3 drops and 150 receptions. So where are these, drops coming in? It's not like he had 3 drops in 6 targets. I mean, ESPN and NFL Network, I think they're trying to conspire something against us. My personal opinion, I think they have an agenda. More likely ESPN, but that's another video, that's another topic. As I said, the Giants will have to be creative with his versatility. The Giants passed up on Rashawn Slater, Micah Parsons. Now, I will note on this, and I know a lot of Giants fans were mad that they passed up on Parsons. The Cowboys ended up getting him. If anything, he was a luxury. And the Giants did not need a linebacker, in my opinion, or a hard-hitting, blitzing linebacker like him as much as they needed an extra target. Now, you could say, oh, this receiving class was deep. I said that in the beginning, and I definitely agree with that. But Micah Parsons, he had some off-the-field stuff before the draft. There's some lawsuits going on. That's something, in my opinion, the Giants should not have touched, and it's good that they didn't touch it. Of course, the Cowboys take him for that reason, because they like players with locker room issues. Rashawn Slater, he eventually went to Los Angeles Chargers. He's probably their left tackle to start the season, but good for the Los Angeles Chargers. They get left tackle. They get to finish that offensive line for Justin Herbert. Anyway, just a luxury, and I am very hypocritical with this and judging other teams, but are they going to pick a guy that they totally don't want? No, they're going to pick a guy they're going to trade down, get the value. Rashawn Slater, he's not this generational O-lineman. He's good. I'm not going to downgrade that. I'm not going to belittle that. But is he Penei Sewell? No. And the Giants got assets for next year just in case their O-linemen do not work, just in case something goes awry. He has a rap career, meaning Kadarius Toney. I find that kind of interesting. He has his own Spotify account. So if you want to look him up, you might want to go on there. Senior Bowl visit. That's a theme with this draft, especially this year, knowing that in-person meetings were so important compared to last year, compared to the other years before, because, last year they had the Senior Bowl, then everything went awry, and it was just, different compared to years before. And it's not a Zoom meeting, it's an in-person meeting, and now you finally get to meet a receiver or this player now that there's no combine. It's an interesting topic to talk about, and once again, the Giants made a theme with this draft class that Senior Bowl visits were the theme in there. It was kind of the thing. They did that with Gary Brightwell. I think they did that with Ellerson Smith. They definitely did that with Aaron Robinson. So we'll obviously talk about that later in the video, but just to cap it off, I give it an A- for the selection. Surprise to me. A new weapon for Daniel Jones, trying to set up the best situation possible in case Sterling Shepard retires, gets injured, something like that. And great weapon for this offense. Waiting to see what he does in September. So the next pick, the next trade, I should say, the next event that happened was the Giants trading down once again. Now, people say, Joe Judge had the influence on Dave Gettleman because it comes from a New England culture. We can debate that. We don't know what happened. But according to a beat reporter, the Giants, they wanted Landon Dickerson. The Eagles took him. Well, that doesn't surprise me, knowing that they took 2 Alabama guys from the Giants and they traded down. We'll see if that's true later. Maybe we won't. But in terms of that, the Giants traded down with the Miami Dolphins. They got a 3rd-round selection for next year. The Giants got the 50th selection. The Miami Dolphins got the 42nd selection. And with that, they got Liam Eichenberg, the tackle out of Notre Dame. The Giants got Azeez Ojulari, defensive end out of Georgia. Now, with that being said, let's go into it. I give that an A+. Doctors cleared him a little bit before the draft. I know a lot of teams had him falling off the board because of his injury concerns. He said his knee is fine. Projected 1st-round pick and probably is the best pass rusher from this class, other than someone like Jalen Phillips, though he has the concussion and injury history, also for the fact that he retired. He is the best pass rusher, as I just mentioned, not the best run defender, and very happy that Lorenzo Carter is on this team because, he's good in the run game, he's good rushing the passer, he can go into coverage, something Ojulari can do, but for someone who's maybe not going to get all the snaps right away, I don't know if he's going to get all the snaps right away. I think maybe they'll ease him into it like they did with some of the picks last year. But Ojulari is not going to be good in the run game. He wasn't good in the run game in college. Has some issues with that. Needs to gain a little weight. But, I think this coaching staff can definitely coach him up, teach him up, stuff like that. The Giants have 4 Bulldogs on the roster from Georgia. They have Andrew Thomas, Tate Crowder, Lorenzo Carter, and now Azeez Ojulari. He can drop into coverage, as I just mentioned. Not to mention, this outside linebacker room is fully loaded. O'Shane Ximines, Lorenzo Carter, Ellerson Smith, Ryan Anderson, Carter Coughlin, Cam Brown. There's a lot of outside linebackers in this room, and it's going to be immense the amount of competition that's going to come in training camp. So we'll see who gets cut. In my opinion, it might be O'Shane Ximines, might be one of the 7th-round picks from last year, maybe Ryan Anderson. We'll see what happens, but with the amount of outside linebackers, you're not keeping 7 outside linebackers. If I'm counting correctly, I know there's a couple of outside linebackers I'm probably missing, but those are the main ones on my list right now. So with this selection, Best pass rusher in this draft. I think it's a possible steal for the Giants if he has no injury history, if he doesn't come into the NFL and get injured right away. A+. So, this is going to be the last time the Giants trade. Last time they trade before a pick. The Giants traded up this time. This is the first time they did it since the 2019 draft, where they traded up for DeAndre Baker. They traded up with the Denver Broncos. They moved up 5 spots. They gave up the 76th pick and the 164th overall selection for Aaron Robinson. I give this trade a B+. I give this pick, I believe, a B+, if I look correctly. I do give it a B+. And Aaron Robinson, let me talk about him for a little bit. And a lot of Giant fans are very good with Adoree Jackson as their second corner. Personally, me, I have some concerns. His injury history, the fact that he didn't work out in Tennessee and the Giants gave him all this money, committed to him for the next 3 years. I kind of have an issue with that, but obviously go back a couple of videos and I will explain my grievances with him. Nothing personal to him. It's just, as a player and what he's done in the NFL so far. So, some traits about our buddy Aaron Robinson. He's a good physical cornerback. He's good in man coverage, also good in zone coverage. This means the possibility that the Giants can blitz more. They have him now. They had added Adoree Jackson. They added 2 more defensive ends. They added Radarius Williams, who's not going to step on the field right away, but they added more defensive pieces, so it's, better, unlike last year, where they didn't have the talent and they had to play zone most of the time. With physicality comes the con of getting beat deep. He is super aggressive in man coverage, especially on the deep ball, and unfortunately that will cause him, on occasion, to either hold or get beat deep. And once again, the theme comes in. The Giants met with him at the Senior Bowl. So that comes into play once again, just like Kadarius Toney, just like Gary Brightwell. The Giants met with them, obviously had a good meeting, and then they drafted those 3 players. Not to say they didn't meet with other players, but I guess they liked those 3 and decided to pick them. He could challenge Darnay Holmes for the slot spot. He played in the slot, on the outside, and in the box at UCF, which I find interesting. I didn't know the box part. I did know the slot part and on the outside. As I said, he could challenge Darnay Holmes for the slot spot. I know Darnay Holmes had some issues last year, but he got better as the season went on. If he gets less penalties, it's going to be an interesting matchup in training camp and in the preseason games. And he's definitely good depth. If Darnay Holmes, goes out there right away as the slot corner, as the nickel corner, and Aaron Robinson rests and comes in certain packages, I have no problem with that. If he comes in with dime packages, I have no issue with that at all. Obviously, we selected another corner in the draft, but with that being said, it's good depth. I like the fact that the Giants have it compared to last year, where there was corners getting injured, there was corners getting cut, there was corners playing badly, and it was just really a crap show. Not all the fault of Patrick Graham. He tried doing the best he could with the amount of depth he had, and it's better this year. And I like the fact that the Giants are prepared for it. Nonetheless, I'll make a comment about the O-line much towards the end, but I think Wyatt Davis was still there. Ben Cleveland was still there. I felt like they should attack those 2, or at least went after one of those 2 personally. But that's why I'm a YouTuber and not a New York Giants personnel decider, a personnel director, or whatever. So with that being said, let's go to the 116th pick. That's Ellison Smith out of Iowa. Don't know much about the guy, but I'll put down some traits. He did not play in 2020. His whole conference didn't play in 2020, unfortunately. But he had a lot of production in the past. In 2019, he had the biggest season he had. 63 tackles, 14 sacks, 21.5 tackles for loss, 2 block kicks, and 15 games started. Very immense production. If it wasn't for the fact that 2020 he didn't play, and if it wasn't for the fact that he played at Northern Iowa and would have played somewhere like Alabama or maybe Florida or somewhere in higher level competition, he would have been a first-round pick. But this guy was graded as a 3rd, 4th-round pick, and the Giants got him in the 4th round. They waited back. They didn't trade up. In 2018, though, 19 tackles, 7.5 sacks in 13 games. He didn't start any of the games, but I find that as good quality production. Not great against the run. He needs to shed blocks with more strength. Has to shed blocks, in one-on-one situations. He's not double-teamed. He just needs to shed blocks when he's versing one blocker and not 2, not 3. 3 blockers. That's not really something common in college or the NFL. I'm just saying he needs to shed blocks with more strength. And if he wants to become an every down player, He has to be better in the run game, and I think that's what the Giants will try to train him to do, to try to kick somebody out in training camp. Once again, goes to the Senior Bowl theme and the odd man out. As I talked about with Azeez Ojulari, there's going to be an odd man out in the outside linebacker room, not just with Ojulari getting picked, but with Ellerson Smith getting picked. It kind of puts the pressure on O'Shane Ximenez, Carter Coughlin, Ryan Anderson, and Cam Brown to do better as outside linebackers. If not, one of those guys is going bye-bye at the end of the summer. So I grade that as a B+. There are some offensive guards that were still there, but nonetheless, the Giants fill out the edge position. I feel like they totally finished their defense. Obviously, they have one more defensive pick in this draft. We'll go over that and stuff like that at the end. But B+ selection for Ellerson Smith, the defensive end out of Northern Iowa. The next pick is Gary Brightwell, the 6th round pick, 196 selection, the running back out of Arizona. Don't know much about him. I know the Giants once again met with him at the Senior Bowl. Needed the running back 3. I was talking about it from day one. Ever since Wayne Gallman is not coming back, didn't come back, now he's a 49er. They needed the extra running back. People tell me, oh, sign an undrafted free agent. Undrafted free agents are not an automatic make it on the roster. And what happens if you sign 3 undrafted free agents that are running backs and they don't impress you? What are you supposed to put one on the roster and stick with 2 running backs and a fullback? That's not going to happen. You don't have enough depth. So they must have liked this guy at the Senior Bowl. He's a tough runner. He's good on special teams. He needs to pick up more blitz assignments. Not really pick up more blitz assignments, but he needs to understand more blitz assignments on third down and pass protection. I know that's been a woe for the Giants in the last couple of years with running backs, whether it be Dion Lewis, whether it be Saquon Barkley. They need to get better with pass protection overall, but with running backs, they need to do it more so they don't get the extra blitzer coming up the middle. He will compete with Jordan Chun, Sandro Plutzcummer, and Taquan Mizell for the running back 3 role. Obviously, being a 6th round pick, it's not an automatic make it, but it does increase your chances. Joe Judge says no matter how you got here, it's what you do when you are here. And I think Gary Brightwell, knowing he's a powerful back, knowing he's good on special teams, I think he will make the roster, just as an early prediction. But good pick by the Giants. B-. I don't know much about the guy. I think there were other options there. But just because this is a 6th round pick and just because they needed a running back, I'm not going to grade it as A+, but I'm going to give it a B- grade. So the next pick, the final pick, Radarius Williams, the cornerback out of Oklahoma State. He is the older brother of Greedy Williams. Kind of surprising because Greedy Williams was selected in 2019 and his brother is selected in 2021. Surprising that he is the older brother. But in his career at Oklahoma State, 28 games, 27 pass deflections, 2 interceptions, 169 tackles, and forced fumble. He needs to react quicker to underneath throws. Sometimes, he'll think the receiver or the quarterback is going deep with the throw, and he'll get tricked with the underneath throw. He is very good in terms of limiting yards after catch. He has a lot of experience in press man coverage. He will likely be a depth guy, so that probably kicks somebody like Isaac Yiadom or Julian Love off the roster. I don't see this team carrying something like 6 corners. I think it's going to be 5, maybe 4 at the least. But I think it's going to be 5, 6 corners that they carry. And I think Radarius Williams definitely fits the spot if he impresses the squad, if he impresses the coaches in training camp. So with that being said, some advanced stats. Credit to Justin Pennick of Talking Giants with this. 36 for 64 in 2019. That's probably above 50% in terms of completion percentage. When targeted over 20-plus yards in 2020, 2 for 8 with 4 forced incompletions, obviously showing he's very physical. 653 press coverage snaps in his career, so obviously he's very good with man coverage and kind of like a DeAndre Baker in that sense. But obviously I think Patrick Graham is smarter than Betcher in the case of just not, putting him where the defensive coordinator wants. It's just whether, to benefit the needs and benefit the strengths and weaknesses and stuff like that. So with that, I give it a B-. Overall draft grade, I give it an A-, and I'll talk about the undrafted free agents and the picks and the thoughts in a minute. But overall draft grade, I give it an A-. I think the Giants did a good job finishing up their defense. Now, obviously, linebacker is, a lot of people wanted Jabal Cox. They wanted a couple other linebackers. But with defensive end and shoring up the depth in the secondary, I think the Giants are prepared to go into next season as a top 10, possible top 5 defense. My personal opinion, I can be proven wrong. As undrafted free agents, they did sign 3: Raymond Johnson, defensive end out of Georgia Southern; Brett Hedgie, the center from Florida. So obviously Kadarius Toney lands on the same team as his undrafted free agent teammate Brett Hedgie; and Jake Burton, offensive tackle out of Baylor. And draft picks for 2022, the Giants get 2 in the first round, 1 in the second round, 2 in the third round, 2 in the fourth round, 1 in the fifth round, 1 in the sixth, and 1 in the seventh. So let's finish up this video with some thoughts. The Giants finished up their defense very nicely, as I just mentioned. The Giants added a playmaker, and in my opinion, whether they signed Galladay or not, they were going to get a playmaker sometime in this draft, whether it be Devonta Smith or somebody else. They were going to get a playmaker, whether it be in the first round, the third round, or the second round. And they did it nicely with Kadarius Toney at 20th overall. Was it a bit of a reach? Maybe, maybe not, but he would not have been there at 42 had the Giants wanted to take him there, because Urban Meyer said, I would have taken him there. Some other thoughts I want to go over. The Giants believe in their young O-line. Will Hernandez, Matt Parrott, Shane Lemieux. A lot of people were talking about, you need to get a tackle in this draft. I don't believe that. I think Matt Parrott is the starter for next year. If he's not, Nate Solder starts at right tackle, which could be risky because he has not played football in about 2 years. With that being said, I totally believe in Matt Parrott. I totally believe in Andrew Thomas. I have some distrust with the interior line. I somewhat wish they would have got somebody, but it is backed up by their trust. And I'm not in the building. I only watch some of the tape and just see what others think and what I think mostly. But with that being said, we're not in the building. We're not Joe Judge. We're not Rob Sale. We're not those guys, the assistants and the coaches. With that being said, this could be very risky. The Giants, if Shane Lemieux does not fix his pass protection woes, same thing with Will Hernandez. If they don't fix it, Daniel Jones lands on his back once again. Doesn't really prove he's the franchise quarterback, or has a tough time proving he's the franchise quarterback. In that case, Dave Gettleman loses his job. But the Giants would have to go in the next year's draft and draft some old linemen to replace whoever they don't think is the answer, and that may cost them jobs. But it is nice to see that Joe Judge is putting his job on the line just to put some trust in his old linemen. Obviously, the beat media and us fans don't really have faith in Lemieux as of yet because, pass protection woes are a serious issue, especially when Daniel Jones is trying to prove himself as the franchise quarterback with all the weapons he has, and the O-line really has to step up this year. Hopefully, with the assistance that Rob Sale has, he can coach up Shane Lemieux and get him better in pass protection, and that's the one thing I really worry about. I know people were advocating for Trey Smith and all these other guys. My issue was I want to get a guy that's better in pass protection than run blocking, because that way, we have the run maulers like Will Hernandez and Lemieux on the roster. We don't have that many good pass protecting guards. So, once again, the Giants believe in their O-line. They believe in their young hog mollies, as Dave Gettleman likes to call them. But on the good side, if it works out, it's a good gamble. On the negative side, if it doesn't work out, the Giants have draft picks, and it does cost some jobs within the organization, whether it's Joe Judge. I don't think he'll get fired. More likely Dave Gettleman forced into early retirement. And the last one that a lot of people forget, the Giants must believe in their linebacking core. Reggie Ragland, Tate Crowder, Devontae Downs, a couple other guys as off-the-ball linebackers. They believe in their linebacking core outside Blake Martinez. A lot of people were advocating for Jabril Cox, Monty Rice, Cam McGrone, all these other guys that were linebackers in the draft, and the Giants ended up not taking a linebacker. So I found that pretty interesting. No one really indicated that that was a need within the Giants organization, but once again, it just shows the trust. I don't think it was as big of a need as some of the other needs, and I don't think it is as crucial as the O-line is, or the gamble on the O-line is. So with that being said, guys, if you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe, turn those notifications on so you get notified when a live stream pops or a video drops. Thank you guys for coming out to this video. We'll see you later. Peace out. Good night, everybody.